Welcome, dear listener, to the Secrets for a Happy Life podcast, born from my desire to share the knowledge I've acquired on leading a better life, interwoven with diverse experiences from my travels, years of studying psychology, and life lessons. I'm Petra Kmetec-Bitens, your guide on this journey on rediscovering joy, productivity, and the essence of living a fulfilled life.
I'm good. I'm really nice. I'm here in Azores. I said today I'm gonna do the IG life outside, so maybe you can see a little bit of ocean behind me. Yeah, but it's nice weather.
It's a beautiful view, and it's fascinating, guys. Petra is always somewhere else, so I don't even know where she is next time we talk. So, do follow her other account to learn more about the travels. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, a lot of going on. Let's say it like that.
please pin your other account, Petra, under the video so people can check it out, because a lot of us love travels. And
How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited about the topic we have today, because I think it's so important, and it does not get enough attention.
Yes. And guys, if you don't know what the topic is, the topic today is
shame.
Shame.
I jump in. And the funny thing about shame, one of its characteristics, if you like, according to Brené Brown, is that, well, I'll start with the first one. The first one is everyone has it. So unless you're a complete sociopath, we've all experienced shame. So it's the one thing that really everyone has felt. And the second thing is, no one likes to talk about it. In fact, the word shame itself can trigger the feeling of shame in us. And that's precisely why it is so important to talk about it.
Yeah, and if you look from the evolutionary point of view, when we were living in small communities, shame was really useful, because if you felt shame, that meant that you were doing something that your tribe would kick you out of the tribe if they would know about it, if they would find out. So I think this is still, we have it deep inside us that if we do something that is against the social rules, then we feel ashamed. But the question is, do we feel shame that is valid, or we feel shame because of our internal rules? And if I would tell you something that I am ashamed about, and would you kick me out of our conversation or out of our friendship if I would tell you something? I think this is something to consider. Yeah,
that's a great distinction. Can you think of an example, Petra, an easy one for our audience to relate, about something that we may feel shame about, but it's not, let's say, valid shame, or the shame that does not fit the reality, the facts, and that if you told me or someone tells the other person, they would not be rejected.
Yeah, a lot of people who were maybe sexually assaulted or something feel shame about it, because in their internal view they think they contributed in one way or another to it. But if you tell somebody, oh, I was raped when I was a little kid, then nobody would say, oh, shame you did something wrong, But the people who they feel ashamed about it, and then don't want to talk about it, because it's still not something that you would just talk about around. But I think when you talk about what you feel ashamed about, then this shame goes away.
Yeah, that's a great example. Thank you for that. And this is so true. It's really around the more you talk about it, because fundamentally, based on what you explained about the evolution of shame, this emotion is all about connection and the fear of rejection. And so the more we connect with people, and we see that as we open up and we share our vulnerability and we share our scariest story, the one that we are afraid to be rejected for, and the people do not reject us, that gives enormous amount of comfort. And the more you do it, and not getting the rejected gives you that feelings, that comfort, that actually there is nothing to be ashamed of. I will not be rejected for this.
And also the shame is really associated with inner critic. So when our inner critic said you should be ashamed for doing this, or you did a mistake, and then our inner wounded child is just wants to hide. And shame is really connected also with depression, because when you feel ashamed, you want to hide from everybody else around you, and you don't feel like you want to hang out with people because you think that they see that what you did and they will judge you for it. But the only one who is judging you is your inner self, your inner critic. And if you go into isolation, that can lead into depression. And that's why it's so important to talk about the things in the environment where you feel safe. So with your therapist, with your coach, with your best friend, that you really can feel this supportive and good vibe around.
A couple of things that came up for me as you were making the point. One is, I think I'd like to mention that it's not only about what you did or did not do, but quite often shame is also about just the deep-rooted beliefs that something is fundamentally wrong about who you are as a person. So it goes deeper rather than the action. Is like they will reject me for who I am or for the way I look. And it could be around looks. It could be experienced by people with some sorts of illnesses that have physical manifestations to them. And so it's not even, something that the person has done, but they have that fear of being not accepted. And in a way, they're not accepting themselves. And that inner critics that you mentioned, and again, that's something that we are all familiar with. It's just that its voice can be louder or quieter in some people, and also depending on situation. But the job that inner critic does is really trying to protect you from being exposed to that overwhelming feeling of shame. So it tells you, you're stupid, you're an idiot, who do you think you are, going on stage speaking in front of audience or launching a business or asking that person on a date. So it almost stops you from doing something, just in case.
And also one distinction, like from what is inner critic and what is shame. Shame you can feel in your belly.
Yeah.
So you can feel it in the body, you can feel it in the belly. It's like, this is life-threatening for me, I'm not gonna survive. And this distinction in your how you feel it, how you treat it, it's also something that we should be aware of. And when you were talking, you reminded me of when I was in a training for ICM, for coaching mastery. We did a lot around shame, and one really good exercise was that we were 4 people on a call, and we had to talk about our deepest shame. And when we say it out loud, and when somebody else was looking to us and, oh, that's it? Come on, tell me more. That's normal. When you normalize it, then you don't feel triggered about it anymore. So, yeah.
That's a great one. And again, you recognize that they're not rejecting you. So that's it. Shame has no leg to stand on, if you like.
Yeah, yeah.
And I love you're in my head. That was the second point I was thinking about earlier, and you just brought it up around the body, where it is, that's really under diaphragm. It's in your belly, and you experience when it's there, it's always very much present in the body. And
do you have any recipe how to deal with that?
So, great question as always. An interesting, Peter Levine, who is very much about somatic experiences, talks a lot about how shame is experienced in the body, and also it goes back to the freeze response. So, fight, flight, and freeze, as many of our audience know, are the 3 kind of main responses in case of a threat. And because shame is often developed so early on in life, and if you're a little kid and there is a big person yelling and screaming at you, you cannot fight back. You cannot run away. The only option you have is freeze. And so with shame, that feeling in the belly, and it comes with immobilization reaction almost every time. And again, the extent of it can vary. But sometimes you literally feel like you can't do anything. You just want to stay and shrink and hide. And this is immobilization reaction. And a good thing to do when anyone is experiencing that is literally do a little voluntary movement, which sounds very simple and very silly, but when you are in that state, it may make a huge difference. So literally just standing up, walking around a little bit, sitting down, lifting your hands, doing any movement that's voluntary, pulls the body out of that freeze response.
And this now seems like really easy thing to do, but when you are in that state, it's quite hard to do.
Yeah. So do you have any suggestions or ideas around what could be helpful also for people experiencing that?
Yeah, when somebody feels ashamed, just ask yourself, is this what I'm feeling now? Is this valid or it's not? It fits the criteria or not? If I would really be rejected for this, what I'm feeling, thinking, or not? And usually it's not, no? Yeah, sometimes you do crazy things. Like if you would ask somebody who raped some little kid, do you feel ashamed? And they said yes, then yes, you should feel ashamed because this is not something that a normal person would do. But sometimes we feel ashamed for saying some things that you weren't supposed to say, or you didn't think it through and you just blub it out, and then you feel, oh, I shouldn't be doing that, or I shouldn't say that, and it's really nothing, but we feel like it's the really huge thing. And just think about, is this valid or not? Do I feel this shame? The intensity that I feel, is it true or not? Should I be feeling this kind of intensity or not? Depends on what just happened. And then when you talk about it with somebody else, and when you think about it through, I think you can really lower the volume of it.
Yeah.
And you normalize it. Yeah. If this would happen, for sure, let's say, if I'm thinking now, if this would happen to Iryna, would I feel like she needs to be ashamed of it or not? And usually it's no, it's normal, come on. But for us, we have double standards. We have really high standards, and our inner critic is just jumping all around and say, shame on you.
Right. But safe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really good tool, and it's very useful way to reframe it is, as you just said, just flip it on its head and say, okay, if your friend did it, or your loved one did the thing I'm shaming myself for, would I reject them? Would I stop seeing them the way I see them now? So 99% of the times it will be no. So then
yeah. And also, if you think that your point is valid, that you should be ashamed for something that you said, did, or do, or think about, then you have the possibility to change it, to correct it. Because shame is also something that when we feel it, we have the possibility to change it. And it drives us to be our best version of ourselves. And this is also good. Being a better person is never been like something bad, you know. It's always good to strive to be a better person. And those feelings of shame can also contribute to that we try to evolve ourselves to be better. And that's okay.
And that's what it was originally designed for. I think, you know, that's the essence of the feeling, is really to help us evolve and be accepted and be better versions of ourselves. But again, that's more around, I think, the actions, right? And if the shame is around the feeling of insufficient, being an insufficient or faulty, flawed human being, as we all are actually, but flawed, not insufficient. We're all sufficient, but we are all flawed. So I think then it's, just really realizing where it's coming from and dealing with that.
Do you have one exercise that our listener can do to get in touch with maybe with their body sensations and feelings of shame and how to deal with it?
I think it's just really learning to actually pause and be with it and feel what's happening within, and noticing. I mean, we said what to look out for. The feeling in the body, the immobilization response, these are all indication of shame, and I think it's really about noticing them. And the first time it may not even ring a bell immediately, but the more you do it, the more you just get so aware of it that you just recognize them straight away. Do you have any other tips?
When people feel it, if they feel it, just to think about it and maybe talk with it, talk a lot about it. And now it's really popular that people just post everything they feel like really vulnerable around. Thank you. But I think those things, don't go public with it. Just process it first in your inner world, in your inner circle, with your close friends, and then when you're over it, like emotionally okay with it, then you can talk about it publicly. Because online people can be really harsh critic, and just going out and telling everybody about it, it's not something that I would suggest.
I wanted to cover also how it may show up in people's experiences more in a ways that sometimes we can't name it. We don't think of it as a shame, but what we experience, for example, is that how it affects our lives basically is sometimes it can be seen as perfectionism. And perfectionism is always driven by, or almost always driven by, shame, because we feel like there is something wrong with us as we are. We need to do better, to perform better. Sometimes it's the drive to look better. People who are so conscious about their looks and they go for all the plastic surgeries, or they just don't get out of the gym. Again, it's the belief that there is something so wrong with me, I need to change it. So it could be looks, it could be performance related. So it can drive people into certain behaviors, or it could be shopping, right? If only I buy another car or another something, then I'll be enough. And that's
it can also go in the other direction, like sexual behavior inappropriate, or drinking, or drug addicts, or so it can go both ways.
It can go there, and it can also get you into procrastination and in the state where you do nothing because, what if what I do is not good enough, if it makes me even more ashamed of myself. So these are, I would say, the signs to look out for, and those can be indications that there is some unprocessed shame. And the thing with shame, if it's not treated, it just increases in volume. It becomes more powerful, and it has stronger impact on your life.
I always like to go to our inner child and have a nice, warm, nurturing talk with our inner child and reassure it that everything is gonna be okay, that we are worthy, that we are okay, that we don't have to be ashamed for I don't know what, and that we really like this inner child. And I think when we give this good love to ourselves, not narcissistic love, but really good nurturing love to ourselves, then also those shame feelings disappear a little bit.
And then it's all about really connection. So connection with yourself and connection with other people. So reach out, connect with people. The more you think you're different, you'll really discover that everyone is afraid of being different. Everyone wants to connect. So you actually have a lot in common with absolutely everyone. So
in the end, we are all different. We are all a bit different, but that's good. I like that we are unique, and that makes us special and interesting.
and we are all different, and we are all the same in some ways. That we all want to connect. We're all wired for connection. We are all afraid of rejection. So in that way, we are similar, and that helps us come together and become stronger and support each other and be there for each other.
Yeah. This is a really good way to wrap up.
So thank you for a lovely discussion, and
see you next Monday. Do we have a topic for next Monday?
Not yet. So
not yet.
Our audience has any ideas, requests, please message one of us, and we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, really good. I really enjoyed our talk today. So
all right, see you.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.